Hey, what's up guys? I hope you're doing well. So if you're considering picking up a Canon R7, I'm making this video to say you may want to consider the Canon EOS R. And these are just my own personal thoughts and opinions. Don't make a decision solely based on what I say, but at the same time, you also might appreciate my input. So first, let me just state the obvious. The R7 is an APS-C crop sensor camera, whereas the EOS R has a full frame sensor. So right off the bat, if you're a sports or a wildlife photographer or videographer, then it's obvious the R7 is the way to go. But if you shoot landscapes, real estate, or you're gonna do vlogging or filmmaking, then the decision isn't so simple at that point, because all those situations really do benefit from a full frame sensor. And the EOS R is an amazing option, even though the camera is about 4 years old now. However, it does have some limitations compared to the R7, but it also has some other hidden advantages that you might not know about. So the first thing is that it's much easier to get a wider shot with a full frame camera. I could literally reach out right now and touch the lens. You see? Boom. I'm touching the lens because the camera is just about a foot away from me. Now on an APS-C camera like the R7, if I was to use this same lens and try to get the same exact framing, I'd have to scoot the camera back about 4 feet. And if you're limited for space, then in some situations, that may be an impossibility. And the second thing that contributes to the full frame look is the amount of bokeh or background blur that you're gonna get. With a full frame camera, you can come closer to the lens and that's gonna blur the background out more than it is on the APS-C. Now, when I first decided that I wanted to pick up the R7, at that time, you were able to purchase the Viltrox speed booster for around 250 bucks or so. But the issue now is that you can't buy that Viltrox adapter any longer. You can, however, buy the Canon speed booster, but that's around $500. So at that point, I'm not sure if it's worth it anymore or not. And if you're not familiar with what a speed booster does, it reduces the crop and allows you to get closer to the lens, so it makes an APS-C camera look closer to a full frame camera. But if you really want the full frame look, or you're in one of those categories that I mentioned earlier where you would need it, then I would suggest just picking up a full frame camera, as that's much easier than using a speed booster and going through all of that. One of the things you're gonna have to deal with if you do go with the EOS R is that there's still a 30-minute record limit. And if that's a deal breaker for you, then that's that. Now, in my experience, the 30-minute record limit has never been an issue for me because I shoot shorter clips and then I piece everything together in post. But in the future, I am interested in making some long-form content like interviews and podcasts, etc. Now, honestly, I'm not sure if I haven't done those things yet because I've had the 30-minute record limit, or if it's just one of those things that I want to do in the future, but I probably never will. So you have to figure out for yourself if the 30-minute record limit is important for you or not. The other thing is that the R7 shoots 10-bit video internally, whereas with the EOS R, it's 8-bit internal. But you can get 10-bit footage out of the EOS R, but you have to hook it up to an external monitor like the Ninja 5. And if we take a look at the footage that's coming out both of these cameras, the R7 4K is much sharper than the EOS R's 4K because the R7 is downsampled from 7K, whereas the EOS R is line skipped. So you get a much softer image out of the EOS R than you get out of the R7. But for me and for many people, that's actually preferable because it looks more filmic. It's better suited for filmmaking and that kind of thing. But I guess that's subjective though. Some people may prefer the sharper image that's coming out of the R7. Now, if we discuss low light capability in high ISO situations, the max ISO is around 6400 where you can shoot comfortably, and anything after that, you're gonna get a lot of noise and grain in both cameras. And if we look at the slow motion options, the R7 does offer 4K 60, whereas the EOS R only gives you 60 frames per second in 1080. The max you get with 4K is 30 FPS. And even though the R7 does give you 60 frames per second in 4K, but it's an additional crop on top of the already existing APS-C crop. But what do we expect? It's the cripple hammer in full effect. That's just how Canon rolls. And another thing that might be important to you, the R7 only allows you to shoot in IPB compression. It doesn't give you all-eye, whereas the EOS R gives you the option between IPB and all-eye. But me personally, I've never been able to tell the difference between IPB and all-eye, so that's really not that important for me. So in exchange for the main benefit that the EOS R has over the R7, which is the full frame sensor, you do have to deal with all those other shortcomings that I just mentioned. Now, if you're ready to pull the trigger on either one of these cameras, I left links below to both, as well as other studio and camera gear that I found extremely valuable. Now, regardless of which camera you choose, I would highly recommend that you watch this video right here, where I tell you about 7 must-have accessories for any RF mount camera. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any comments or questions, just leave leave it for me down below. So that's it for me, guys, and I'll see you next time. It's Fulan Creative, and I'm out. Peace.